bit. But in your job search, basically, it's not good to be in your bunny slippers, I guess, right? Isn't that kind of the key point? But more importantly, Tyrone's up here tonight with a message that I think all of us will benefit from here at the dinner hour. Tyrone, come on up here.
Hi, can everybody hear me? Oh, yes you can. Well, first, thank you for Jobseeker for letting me come and give this message. Let me get my slides straight. I'm not going to talk about bunny slippers tonight. A lot of you know what that means, but that's not what I'm here for. Tonight, as soon as my slide comes up, we'll see. My subject is how I learned to trust God. I want to take you through about a 4-year story of mine that got me to where I am. So, as soon as the first slide gets up, well, let me ask this question while we're waiting. And remember, you're in church, so be honest. How many people in this room have been mad or are mad at God because He is not following your plan? Be honest, okay? Now let me ask you this question. Has God ever followed your plan? So why are you mad now? Tell you my story. Back in 2005, I moved my family from Connecticut to Georgia. And we moved the week of Katrina, which should have been a hint. But we moved out here. My plan was to move to Georgia, had a great job at a company I've been working at for about 16 years. Moved down here, got away from the snow and all that bad stuff. Gonna sit there and just retire in the sun. Beautiful plan, but that was my plan. It wasn't God's plan. As soon as I got here, about 90 days after I got here, my plan and God's plan went different ways. God's plan, the first thing was company reorganization. Okay, how many people have been through a reorganization? Okay. I was in a job that they planned a 3-year training program for the job. 3 years of just training. 3 months after I got here, they laid off my training. Okay? It's like being a new nurse straight out of school and you're put in an emergency room by yourself. That's how bad it was. Okay? So that was the first thing. That was God's plan. It messed me all up. Over a 6-month period, my mother passed away, my father passed away. We bought a house, and a favorite uncle of mine passed away, and I found out I was about to lose my job. This is back in 2007. How many people here, and again, you're in church to be honest, have had a review, an annual review, and you were labeled incompetent? Come on. I was one of them. I was labeled incompetent. Now think about, you moved your family. Nobody else in the family works. My review is that bad. I can say, well, maybe the bus, it doesn't matter. On paper, I was that bad. Incompetent. After working for a company for 16, at that point, 17 years. Parents passed away. Just bought a house. It should be a happy time. It's not. Because now I'm thinking, I just bought this house and I'm about to be unemployed. I don't know anybody in Georgia. I spent many, many days going down to the fitness center at 10 o'clock in the morning because nobody else was there. And I'd sit on the bench and cry. Because you learn you're losing your job in November. Your end date is probably January. And I wasn't losing my job for a layoff. I was being terminated for being incompetent. Now try going to work every day with that. Again, my parents, 108 days apart, they passed away. I'm flying back and forth to New York, dealing with my mother's house and funerals and everything else. And I would just go down to the fitness center in the locker room at 10 o'clock. Nobody was there. I would just sit there and cry every morning. Then I'd drive myself off, get up, and go back to work. Now, my boss, I want to say my boss was a jerk, and I want to say that that was a unanimous opinion that even he had of himself. But sometimes the Lord puts jerks in your path for a reason. Okay? This man who, and to this day we still exchange Christmas cards. He could have laid me off in January. He put his own job on the line to not submit my review until late February. I mean, he put his job on the line. This is a guy that told me in November, you're losing your job. I will give you as little work as I can. Your job is to go find a job. He's the first person who ever said that to me, and it stuck with me. Your job is to go find a job. All of you, your job is to go find a job. Everybody who knew me, who knows me, when I was in transition, I used to always say that. My job was to find a job. Get up every day, get dressed, and go to work. That was what my boss told me. I would come into work every day and spend 6 or 8 hours a day looking for a job. When you talk about, you start praying and you don't know what to pray for. And I started praying, I said, Lord, just give me the strength to accept whatever is your will. I'm not gonna pray for a job. Because I had a job that frankly sucked. So, you ask for another one, you might get one that's worse. So, between crying and I can't emphasize that enough. Big 6'4" man, I'm sitting on the bench crying every morning for about a good 15 to 20 minutes every day. So my last day was scheduled for Monday, March 5th, 2007. I'm applying for jobs all over the place, trying to find a job within the company, but you apply for a job in the company, and they say, well, let me talk to your current manager. Current manager, he's incompetent. Okay. End of story. Monday, March 5th was scheduled to be my last day at this company. It's a well-known company right here in Alpharetta. I worked there, again, 18 years at the end of it. I'm coming to the end. I got a beautiful house, my dream house, and I'm thinking, I'm about to lose it. So again, I keep saying that date, Monday, March 5th. You know when I got an offer? Friday, March 2nd. Okay? The Friday before my last day, I get an offer. You know when they say the Lord is always on time? It don't get any tighter than that. I mean, and it taught me something. It said, you know what? There is somebody else in charge of this. I mean, I had been looking for a job hard for 6 months, or 4 or 5 months of it. He delivered it right on time. So instead of being terminated from a company that I worked for 18 years, I was able to resign. Might seem like a minor difference. It's all the difference in the world. For my own personal ego, if nothing else. I tell you that story because I can imagine how a lot of you feel right now. I was out there. When I went through my last transition, it wasn't because of being incompetent. It was just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the emotional roller coaster I was on for that 6-month period, of all the happy things and then the sad things, it'll mess you up. So I want to keep on target. So I got a new job. It's been 2 years at that job. It starts going crazy. I'm like, okay, Lord, look, what is it? It's a Georgia thing. I was with one company in Connecticut, no problem. I come down to Georgia, and all of a sudden, I'm just finding all the crazy people who moved to Georgia with me. So, again, he delivered the third job. At this point, and again, I started thinking it's me. Then I was like, nah, it's not me. But that second job, it was like, it wasn't an incompetence issue, it was probably partly me. I'll say that, it was probably a little bit of me. But it wasn't all me. And I was at the point where I was about to, I don't want to say I was about to kill somebody. I was close, okay? You know how they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Well, sometimes you just wish that it would just finish the process and kill you. Okay? Because it was that bad. I mean, again, I had been in Georgia at this point 3 years. Worked for 2 different companies. I was in Connecticut, again, 16 years, worked for one place. So it couldn't have been me. With this company, how many people have been told by somebody in a senior position, there'll always be a place for you at this company? And that is the kiss of death. That's when you start looking for a job, and they tell you, you're set. Okay? Senior vice president had a conversation with me. He was the one that recruited me into the company. But truthful, they threw a boatload of cash at me to make me come to that company, and I took it. And 6 months into it, he and I was having conversations, and he said, well, you know what, we're going to this reorganization, but don't worry, because there will always be a place for you in this company. And I believed him. 6 months later, I was gone. He didn't speak to me for the last 3 months I was there. But again, it was like, this is one of those things where it was just a reorganization. I was literally in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I believed what this person told me instead of trusting God. My last day at that company was 2 days before my birthday. They threw me a going away party. They did. And it was like a going away birthday party. And me being the big wimp I am, cried again. And it wasn't that I was crying because I was going to miss the people, but it was like, again, what is wrong with Georgia? Connecticut has this problem. Now it's 3 companies. But I remembered, trust God. Once I remembered that, and I know it seems hard to think that way. That I just gotta trust God. I'm telling you, I gotta trust Him. See, God was looking for me where He wanted me to be. You know, point A to point B, but you had to go through all this stuff between it. For those of you who don't know me, I've been back to work. I landed about 6 months ago. Out of my industry, okay, so everybody tells you you can't change industry is lying to you. I went from insurance to hospitality. I do a podcast for people in transition. I do speaking like this. To get here, I had to go through all of this. I didn't know it at the time, but that's what I had to do. Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, with the evidence of things not seen. How many people have heard that before? How many people kind of don't believe it right now? You're in church? Okay. You gotta trust God. You gotta believe. Somebody gave me this a plaque, a little statue, and it said, "Believe when it's beyond reason to believe." And that's what job search is. You know, when you get rejections every day, when you try to network with people on LinkedIn and they don't return your phone calls, you got to keep believing. I know it sounds hard, but you got to understand that there is somebody else in charge. You know, I used to say, people say, when am I going to land a job? You can land a job when you land a job. Whatever that date is, that's when you're going to land it. But if you get mad at God because He's not following your plan, even though He never did, if you start letting other people, you know what I'm saying? Your mother used to say, don't let anybody else make you feel bad. You start internalizing all that. It makes your job search worse. Because job search is easy. It's dealing with transition. And one of the best ways to deal with transition is to trust God. Trust that somebody is in charge of this. I know it seems crazy, all these people unemployed. Don't worry about all those people. And you don't have to find a job for all those people. You got to find a job for you. Just trust God. And keep moving forward. Every day when you get up, say, God, thank you. You know, I mean, I talk to people who are bad because God won't give them a job. And, you know, and I say, well, God woke you up this morning, but that ain't the point. I want a job. Give it a choice of which thing you want. Do you want to wake up in the morning or have a job? Because you can have a job and be dead. You can, you know, you can do that. But trust Him. No matter what. Just keep trusting God. He is going to stick to his plan. You may not know what his plan is. You don't have to know what his plan is, but know that he has a plan for you. And when all this is over in a couple of years and you start looking back on where you are now and where you were, you will realize what his plan was for you. You don't know what it is now. And he's not finished with me yet. And he's not finished with you. But remember, I was deemed incompetent. Okay, incompetent. Try spinning that around your head. You know, if you've never been told that you were incompetent in a time that you're grieving for your parents. But look at me, I mean, I came out of it. And I'm not saying I came out of it because I did anything. I came out because God brought me out of it. He will bring you out of this. Each and every one of you, if you trust him, if you just trust him, he will bring you through this. My time is up. I hope this has been enjoyable. I hope that, if nothing else, you keep going. Thank you.